pretty timid sound in the
It
camera.
was, wasn't it? But it's got a dent in it already. Anyway, apparently the clock there is still a minute or two slow, but I thought we'd call it to order and welcome everybody. Could I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Moved, second.
Thank you. Okay, and we have two delegations tonight, and the first one being Derek Jensen from McElhaney.
Good afternoon, or good evening, I guess. My name is Derek Jensen. I'm employed with McElhaney Consulting, and I submitted the rezoning and development permit applications on behalf of the owner for 1918 Holly Place. I believe staff have prepared a complete and thorough report for your review and consideration, and towards exercising some opportunity to shorten this to the extent possible. I would certainly invite any questions, or if there was a need to speak on any particular aspect of the application, please feel free to bring those forward.
Any questions?
It seems a simple rezoning, doesn't it?
It's pretty straightforward,
Yes.
so certainly appreciate your consideration.
Okay, well, thank
Okay.
you, Derek.
That presentation.
Well done. And the second presentation tonight, Stuart Goodings. Welcome, Mr. Goodings.
Thank you. I have half an hour speech, but don't worry, I'll cut it down. My name is Stuart Goodings. I'm a 3-year resident of Comox, just moved here not long ago. Before that, I was a civil servant in both Ottawa and Victoria. And over the last 22 years, I've been going to Russia and Ukraine on various kinds of technical assistance projects. I went to Ukraine for the first time in 1992, which was a year after the Declaration of Independence, when the Soviet Union collapsed. And since that time, I've probably been back to Ukraine maybe 10 or 11 times, and they're all on projects designed to assist that country with the transition from a communist system to a more democratic Western system. There have been lots of failures along the way and a few successes. The project that I wanted to just tell you a little bit about tonight, and Richard Canagan has included some information in your documents, is a project by the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, FCM, that is designed, it's called the Program for Local Economic Development and Democratic Governance. And it's a 5-year program that's funded by the Canadian government, the Department of Foreign Affairs and International Trade and Development. It's almost a $20 million project over 5 years, so it's a pretty significant project. I was involved in the predecessor project to this one called Local Economic Development in Ukraine. And I went to Ukraine a couple of times. Two areas in particular, gender equality and intergovernmental relations. Those are the two fields that were of particular interest to me. But that previous project had about 13 municipal partners all across Canada, different sized cities and towns, who were supporting the project and who sent staff and elected people to Ukraine and hosted delegations from Ukraine to share with them the experience of how we do municipal government in Canada. So this new project, which is just beginning, is designed to build on that previous project, and it's to help the municipal governments in Ukraine become better. Under the old communist system, everything was run from the center, and the local governments didn't have much power or control at all. And now all that has been changing over the last 20-odd years, but there's still a long way to go. And because of the Canadian experience and the high regard in which Canada is viewed by people in Ukraine, there are about 1.2 million Canadians of Ukrainian origin, and half of the rest of us would like to say that we're from Ukraine. There's a lot of mutual respect between the two countries. And so what this project is all about is sharing our knowledge and expertise with Ukrainian cities and towns. And the reason I wanted to encourage Comox to consider applying to FCM to be one of the partners in this program is that I think it's really important that Canada show that we have talent and skills and abilities in smaller communities as well as the larger ones. And I mean, it's all very well for, you know, Toronto or Hamilton or Montreal to go with all their massive resources and talk about what they can do. But it's also really important in my mind to show the smaller communities in Ukraine that we have communities like Comox that are really talented and skilled and do all kinds of good things. For example, this new website program that you have taken the initiative on to develop a better website, the monthly Comox news that you produce, these are a simple but really effective means of communicating with citizens and getting them involved in local governance. And that's the kind of stuff that they really need in Ukraine. The citizens in those former communist countries simply didn't have any opportunity to participate in the governance of their communities. And now this is changing, and Canada's having the opportunity to help them do that. So I'm sorry if I've been a bit long-winded or passionate about this, but I believe very strongly in it. And I'd love to see Comox be one of the Canadian partners in this new FCM project. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay, questions?
Sure. What would the cost be? Is there any cost to us for doing this? And when you said we apply through FCM, that assumes that there would be others trying to get in and they would choose from a group, and then is the funding through them, or how does all that work?
Yes, exactly. So this call for applications has gone out to all members of FCM across the country. So there will be probably quite a few, perhaps even some of the municipalities that have been involved in the previous project will want to do it again. My understanding is that there were no BC municipalities involved in the last one. So I really feel that BC deserves to be represented in this next project. In terms of cost, all of the travel expenses and out-of-pocket expenses for the involvement of elected councillors or staff would be covered by the project. So there's no cost in that respect to the partners. There are costs involved in terms of time. So if, let's say, your mayor or one or two of the councillors were to go to Ukraine on a delegation for a week or so, obviously there's a time factor involved in that. Or if one of your senior staff had to spend time hosting a delegation from one of the Ukrainian cities or towns to come to Comox and see how things are run here, there's a time factor involved in doing that. But in terms of actual sort of out-of-pocket costs, that should not be a factor.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Councillor
I think my question's been
Oh,
answered.
okay.
I think you answered mine. Is the normal time for going to the community a week or longer, or?
Yeah, it's usually about a week or maybe 10 days. I mean, if there was say a conference that was going on there on a particular topic, like how to involve citizens in local economic development, for example, there might be a conference, and then you might go to one or two of the particular municipalities to work more closely with them. But it would never be for longer than about 10 days. And of course, as you know, Ukraine's been going through some very difficult times over the last year and a half or so. And there is still sporadic fighting in the Donbass region of eastern Ukraine on the Russian border. This project would not be going to any of those areas. The security considerations would be very, very important. The FCM has quite a significant office in Kiev, and interpreters would be provided, and everything would be very well looked after in terms of safety.
And the application deadline for?
I'm afraid it's very soon. It's the 8th of November.
Oh.
Yes. So it's very soon. So Mr. Canagan has the application form. It has a bunch of questions asking about the experience of each applicant in various fields, and it's not a complex application to fill out. I mean, if you were to decide that you wanted to apply, I'm sure that he could complete the application quite easily, but there is that deadline, I'm afraid. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Councillor Arno?
Yeah, basically, Councillor McKinnon touched on what I was going to ask, but I note here that it says Sunday, November 1st was the deadline, so it's been extended?
Yes.
Okay. Good. As they say in Ukraine, dobre.
Pardon me?
Dobre. Good.
Good.
Wonderful.
I can see who's pulling for a member of the...
That's the only word he knows.
No interpreter needed.
I know a few.
Okay. Any other questions that we have? No?
Well, just in light of the short deadline, we wouldn't get a chance to have another meeting, or would we? Do we-
No, it's Sunday.
So if we did want to do this, today's the day.
So can we deal with it now, or do we wait till the end?
New business?
New business.
New business, shall we?
You could add new business.
Let's have new business.
Sounds good.
Okay. I guess I just have one question before you step down. Is there any ideal number? If a delegation is being sent, would you see 2, 3 going, or?
Usually there would be several people who would go, and it wouldn't necessarily only be from one municipality. It could be from 1 or 2 or 3 different municipalities. So it all depends on the nature of the topic. People would never, go by themselves. There would always be a team approach. Yeah.
Are there any other municipalities on Vancouver Island that are participating?
I don't know.
You don't know any of that?
No, I don't know. I mean, the call went out, as I say, to
Yes.
all FCM members. And I thought that I would try to encourage my own municipality to do it, but I don't know about any others.
Thank you for doing it.
Okay. Oh,
And so if we could take out economic development officer, that would be something that would be of value.
Definitely, definitely. The real focus is on how municipalities can encourage economic development. And because all that stuff was run from the center in the old days under the communist system. And also the democratic governance, the whole business of how citizens can take part and can be consulted. And one of the great things that I would like to see is the fact that you've got gender equality on the city council, right? 3 men, 3 women. That is something that Mr. Trudeau has just done in Ottawa. In Ukraine, it's much less common to find women involved in significant political positions of political power. But if it's happening anywhere, it's going to happen at the municipal level. So that would be another, I think, positive thing that Comox could show in putting forward its application.
okay. And I think Councillor McKinnon has more questions.
And just a final comment perhaps is that I think the concept is worthwhile, and I think it's important for a municipality from BC to apply. I would recommend that we apply. We can always withdraw later if it's not something that can be worked out here, but I think it's important that BC municipalities apply and support this endeavor.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, and thank you for thinking of us and encouraging us to go beyond our borders. Okay, minutes of meeting, regular council meeting minutes.
Move receipt?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Any discussion? No? Okay. Be approved, okay, minutes be approved?
Move approval, then?
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Nobody's opposed? Okay. Committee of the whole meeting minutes
Move receipt?
to be received? Say. All in favor? And the committee recommendations for the draft terms of reference for the Macleay Nature House Committee.
I would move the recommendation.
Well, so
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? All right. Moving right along to committee recommendations. So the first one is the increases to the 2016 utility fees.
I'll move.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
I do have a question.
Okay, question?
Regarding the water rates, I noticed in many neighborhoods in town, we're getting meters put in. And so I know for an unmetered house, it's, what is there, $27.25 a month, so $327 a year. Does the person who has received a meter from the town without asking, they still continue to pay that amount unless they go over, is that correct? Even though they haven't opted in, it was placed in their yard. This has happened a lot in my neighborhood where the whole area is getting water meters and no one's...
We were actually trying to find a leak that was...
Right, yeah, no, and I was going to compliment the town on finding a leak that was going in.
So where we install a meter for operational reasons, like we're trying to find leaks,
right,
or if we're getting ready to do a major road rehabilitation and we're upgrading all the water services before we pave the road, where we put those meters in for operational reasons, even actually the same thing is true for meters if the homeowner requests it. Regardless of why they get the meter, once the meter is in, the homeowner has an opportunity to stay on the existing water meter, flat rate bill, or stay on the existing water rate, which is a flat rate bill. They keep paying the $327 a year, unless they ask us to switch over. And generally speaking, we don't encourage them to do that until they've had at least a year's worth of data. Because until you've seen how much water you use in the summer, you don't really know what your annual use is going to be. Mm-hmm. But once you've got some data and you know what your water use is going to be, if you think you're a low use user, and by that I mean somebody who's using under 250 cubic meters of water a year, it's worth their while to switch over. And they could save money by switching over and paying for the actual water they use. There's a form and a question and answer sheet that are available online if they want to look into this further. And so if you go to our website and look at the water page, within that there's a page called Switching to Meters. And it's got all the questions and answers, and at the bottom it has a link to the form. People can apply basically during January, February, and the first half of March. And we have to cut it off then because we've got to figure out who's transitioning in time for the water billings to be done at the end of April and in time for making the changes to the tax roll. Because when they switch over, that $327 that they've been paying on their tax notice comes off the tax system, and instead they pay their 3 times a year utility bill in the mail.
Right. Okay, so at no time would they be charged more than the $327 a year
unless they use that 600 cubic meters of water a year, which is 600,000 liters. That's an extraordinary amount of water.
Right. Okay, thank you.
And then we also have an opt-out quantity too, do we not know?
Yes, yeah. The first year that we brought this in, it was if you switch over, you stay switched over. Since then, Council has made a couple of changes. Council reduced the monthly minimum for metered users. I think it was $17.50. It's now $15 a month. And the other change that Council made was they said, well, you can opt out as well as opt in. And so the form basically has 2 boxes: I want to join or I want to leave.
Very good.
Councillor Price?
Thank you, and I appreciate this topic coming up because I've been asked too about the Rob Road metering. And so that was to do with finding a leak, was it?
No, we're getting ready to rebuild Rob Road next year, so we want to make sure all the water services are up to spec before we resurface.
Okay.
Well, yeah, Rob Road between Pritchard and Anderton.
Yeah, sorry. The other end of Rob Road,
Yes.
where Councillor Arnott lives this summer, we were installing meters. We're not planning to repave that portion of Rob, but we were looking for leaks. We knew that there was a significant leak in the area. As it turned out, it was several houses away from Councillor Arnott's. And that's cool. And that's what happens with water leaks. They'll form in one location and then pop up, as much as a block or more down the road.
Just a little bit of information on that. To prove that water meters are useful in many areas is that last summer, so a year and a half ago or so, a wet spot popped up in my yard. And we didn't know what it was. We looked around, we just thought it was a natural spring. And I did a whole bunch of work in the yard to contain this. I measured it, a gallon a minute of water. And that was a gallon a minute times that by how many hours in a day and by a month and a year. And we know that that was happening at least for 1 year. So that's an awful lot of water that the town is spending that was going into my drain and out into the ocean. So I think in this instance
and not just your drain.
Yeah.
I mean, every yard in between was wet and perhaps even beyond your house.
Yeah.
The past summer was really informative for Public Works because once we got to stage 3 in August and it was hot, you could tell by looking at where the lawns were green, you could get some indication of where the neighborhood had leaks.
I had a great lawn this summer.
But I suspect your neighbors thought you were watering.
Oh yeah.
That's the flip.
Well, they had a great lawn too.
I heard about your green lawn.
Councillor McKinnon.
Just in regards to the pros and cons of water meters, there is that one of the strengths of it was that it detected leaks, and leaks is a funny word. Maybe we should return, in some cases, runoffs like that, because I think most people equate a leak with a minimal amount of water. And from my understanding, that water meters are very helpful in detecting leaks when they do the installation.
Okay, any other questions, comments? No? Are we ready to do for all those in favor? Motion carried. Okay, so on to the next one, the final design of Marina Park revitalization project.
Who's that?
Second.
Any discussion?
And I don't know whether Councillor Arnott got the update or whether the minutes were clear that there was a discussion with regard to a shower in the washrooms and the maintenance, cleaning, and our administrator pointed out the daily costs. However, we are going to look at having, maybe not, the yacht owners may not find this sufficient, but having an outside shower facility available. So that would be a low cost.
I was reminded that I was in a conflict of interest, so I'll leave that
Okay.
at that. So
Well,
thank you. I didn't get
I
it.
didn't say anything.
Yeah. Not taking this.
Put that in the record.
Okay, so all in favor? None opposed, so motion carries. Okay, the 2016 Point Homes Pavilion Project, request for support.
I'll move that.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? No? All those in favor? Okay, motion carried. Number 5, development cost charges, the draft report.
I'll move that.
Any discussion?
I spoke to a couple of developers and to the developers group and a few other groups around town about this, and they were all very pleased to see that something was actually going down down hall somewhere in Canada. And it was really quite surprising to them. They really saw this as a really positive step that we're taking. So, I think it's going to have a really good impact on some of the things that we're trying to accomplish here, especially in our downtown. So it's being very well received out there. So.
Excellent. Okay, Councillor McKinnon.
I'm really happy to hear that, Councillor Grant, and I know that in the Times Columnist there was an article in other jurisdictions of larger cities that are having great difficulties with this and complaints for development charges. So I second your emotion there. That's great and great news for our town if we're getting favorable reviews from the development committee as well, the community as well.
And to our staff.
Yeah.
Yes. Excellent. And hopefully the development community will take the opportunity to give the feedback.
I think they will, yeah.
Yeah. it's good to come in with a complaint, but it's nice when you get some positive feedback
Oh,
too.
okay, silly.
So any further discussion? No? All those in favor? Okay, motion carried. Okay, number 6, planning report, PR 15-10, the follow-up on the Parklet pilot project.
I'll move that.
I'll second that.
And we're just carrying on with that. Any discussion? Councilor Kim?
I just had a discussion today with the owner of the property. I think one of the questions that came out of it was that we were in favor of it, and we were hoping that, we assumed that she would be in favor of it, and she was in spades, and appreciated the extension, and her customers have indicated that they'd like to continue it outside. So.
It's awesome out there today.
Yep.
Yeah, and just, I'd like to thank council for looking at this last weekend, and it's something I can't talk about, and moving this forward, because it is, I think it's a great addition to that area, and hopefully other little restaurants will see benefits, and maybe we'll see more of these pop up. And with the global warming and with the milder winters, it could be a real need for this over the winters, I hope.
Yep.
Yeah, hard to know what to hope for, isn't it?
Don't tell that to the new ski hill.
That's right.
Yeah, that's already sold. So.
Okay, so all those in favor? Okay, motion carried. Okay, number 7, the draft Comox Lake Watershed Protection Plan.
I'll move the recommendation.
Okay,
Second.
any discussion? No? All those in favor? Okay, motion carried. And number 8, the Mountaineer Avian Rescue Society request for letter of support and funding.
Move.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Kinnon?
And just to clarify that the second part of that was that the society did advise that the town of Comox has a no grant made policy with regards to request for funding.
Yeah, do we move those together or separately? Together. So are we okay with moving those together? Okay. Any further comments? No? All those in favor? Okay, motion carried. And number 9, Paul Canagan, 55 plus BC Games.
Move.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'll be in the next one.
That's right. Counting on that.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so all those in favor? Okay, and number 10. Scott, Sean, Ross, and Ryan McKinnon, the reconstruction of Old Brooklyn School basketball
I
courts.
think we have to wait for Hugh to leave.
Yes.
He wants reading
Don't go far.
material.
Yeah. And this was to refer, the request for a financial contribution of $2,500 to be referred to the budget process for consideration.
I'll move that.
A second.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, motion carried.
You can come back. Sleep out there.
Okay, you come back.
Well, that's forgiven.
Okay, so no committee reports and on to unfinished business. So the management report.
Move the seat.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried. And the special reports, Comox Valley Regional District meeting minutes.
Move the seat.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, motion carried. And on to bylaws. Bylaw number 1821, Comox water rates and regulations.
Move first, second, and third reading.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried. And bylaw number 1822, the Comox sewer user rates bylaw amendment number 11, or November 11, 2015.
Move first, second, and third reading.
Second that.
Any discussion?
No.
No?
Just waiting.
All those in favor? Okay, motion carried. And, okay, now I've lost my place. Are we on the sewer?
We are on refuge.
1823.
Refuse.
We're
Number
on
41,
refuge.
yeah.
Okay, so bylaw number 1823, Comox Refuge Collection, bylaw amendment November 7th,
Number 7.
no, number 7, 2015.
I'll move for second and third reading.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried. On to new business. So, rezoning application, RZ 15-6, development variance permit application, variance permit application 15-6, 1918 Holly
I'll move
Place.
first and second reading.
I'll second that.
Okay.
I
Any,
just have one thing to add to this. I did take this to the backyard neighbor, and he didn't have any problems with it, so.
okay, okay. All right, and we're not having a presentation, Mark, no, okay. Okay, so all those in favor? Okay, motion carried. And that the Comox Phase Development Agreement Authorization Bylaw number 1818, Holly Place, be given first, second readings.
I'll move that.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, motion carried. And that a public hearing located in council chambers at 1801B Beaufort Avenue be scheduled for proposed bylaws number 1814 and number 1818.
I'll move that.
Second.
Okay, discussion. I heard a request, have we set the date, Shelley, for that? November 18th?
That's proposed date,
Proposed date.
November 18th.
We'll be going for the 18th.
The 18th,
Yeah,
okay.
6:30?
Okay, yeah, 6:30, okay. Okay, any discussion? No? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, motion carried. So, correspondence, there's nothing under correspondence, but there is one late item.
Your worship, I think you would
Oh, new business.
add something to the new items.
New business.
Oh, yes, thank you. New business,
Ukraine,
the Ukraine trip, yes.
council's free trip to Ukraine.
That's right. Okay, so, discussion.
Well, I move that we apply.
5, okay.
Second.
Second? Okay, and discussion?
I'd like to comment on Councillor Price's recommendation that we consider the UDS as a representative from the town of Comox.
Okay.
Well-
I'm sorry?
I just, if I may,
Yes.
I mean, I don't disagree. However, from what I gathered, this is more about municipal structure and how a council works. It's not necessarily economic development, is it?
I thought I heard him suggest
maybe
that
I got it
economic-
wrong.
Sorry.
Perhaps we've got the cart a bit before the horse here. Maybe we should apply and see if we get,
Mhm.
if we get
Oh,
accepted.
no.
If we do, then we can figure out who goes at that.
Have we,
I think
do we
we've
not
got,
see the, has anyone seen the application?
well, Richard's got it. He'll fill it out. It's got to be in by the 8th, so.
Okay, so
I've seen it.
we need a motion, don't we? So you made
got
the
a
motion,
motion
and
to fill out
and
the
we
form.
seconded it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that was a good point, make the application first. I just brought that up in that it may be part of the application as a part of the delegation we can bring resources with us, and that was one that popped into mind as
Okay.
But if the CAO is not here this week.
Yes.
And it may fall on our deputy clerk to move that forward.
There we are.
8th is Monday?
Sunday.
Sunday.
It's Sunday, oh my word.
I think it's Sunday, or,
Yeah, today's the 4th.
Let's rely on our staff to
have
get
2
the
days.
thing in and go
Yeah.
from there.
okay.
Yeah, that's all we need to do.
So the motion is that we do put in the application. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. I guess my only question would be how many people would we be hoping?
And I guess that will be on the application
I
form.
think
I will
we
work.
wait and see.
I will look through the application
Okay.
and then provide.
So you'll let us know.
Yeah, I'll-
Okay, all right, so all those in favor? Motion carried. All right, on to the late items then. We have a letter here from Paul LeBron from Lush Valley Food Action Society, and I believe we also have it in hard copy here, requesting a letter of support.
I move that.
Second that?
Okay, any discussion?
Apparently, we did have a bear down by the old Brooklyn School,
Oh,
rummaging around
Oh,
on,
did we?
yeah, 2 days ago or something.
really? Okay. Did you have a comment, Councilor McKinnon?
Just, I think it's self-explanatory. It's educational in nature, and they have a good track record in our community of working with educating as well.
Okay, thank you. All right, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor? Okay, so the motion carries. Okay, we have no delegations. On to reports from council. Why don't we start with Councillor Price?
Okay, so I attended the Comox Archives and Museum meeting, and one interesting initiative that's coming out of the community is looking at how museums can work together. We've got several across the valley, so a meeting was set up, and it sounded like a great idea, how we can support each other, publicise each other, and work together. So from the Union Bay Little Museum right through Cumberland, Courtney, the base. So anyway, work in progress. I also attended the Regional District Board meeting. I went to the fuel sawmill site proposal project, which sounds very positive, and a lot of enthusiasm to restore that area to a natural habitat, and saw examples of what Campbell River had done in their industrial site. And then yesterday I went down to Victoria with the chair of the Water Committee, the mayor of Cumberland, the chair of the board, Director Edwin Greaves, who was area the watershed is in, and we met with the Minister Terry Lake. It was an informational meeting to let him know that we have actually been doing a lot of work over time, and that and basically in the time that we were allocated to go through where we are at, where we've come from, that we're moving towards the deep water intake, the filtration, and given the involvement we've had from our Dr. Enns on our water system, it was just good to give him the update that we are doing a lot, and that we're also going to have major costs ahead. And also John McRae was there, our MLA John McRae, who was very helpful. He also included Minister Todd Stone, who came for a short little meeting, and he set up a meeting afterwards, which was going to be with Minister Stone, but he got called away, and so we met with the Assistant Deputy Minister for Transportation and Infrastructure, the infrastructure being the grant side of it. And so he gave us some helpful tips, including that with the federal money coming out after the election, that anticipation is to get an application in soon, and he was certainly made aware of our requirements coming up to the filtration and deep water intake. So I think it was a very good meeting. The Minister Terry Lake suggested that we go down again in February and do an update. So they definitely heard us, and they knew some of it, and they didn't know all of it. So I think it was very worthwhile.
Excellent. Okay.
Thank you. And that's
All
my
right.
report.
Thank you. Councillor McKinnon.
Yes, a couple of things that I attended in the last week or so. October 21st, the Comox Valley Chamber and Hans-Peter Meyer and his group had a workshop for young entrepreneurs and a tech expo held at the Philbert Center in Courtney. Good turnout and good initiative by this group in getting young businesses trained with some pro-deep. I attended a Comox Valley Social Planning Committee meeting. The city of Courtney had a community discovery workshop on downtown revitalization, and I went out of curiosity, and I was joined or saw there a staff member who was there on their own personal time, and It was interesting for us to observe the city of Courtenay putting on a workshop, which I thought was well attended and interesting. I attended the BIA-sponsored Halloween Family Fest at the Comox Mall, both on October 30th and the 31st. A great turnout, a great community event. Comox Valley Chamber of Commerce had a social last night hosted by the Comox First Nation at the IHOS Museum, and they showcased their new band office, and it was a very well-attended event. Attended the Comox Valley Watershed Society Field Sawmill Site Community Forum last night. Interesting discussion, forum, and presentation, and very well attended at the Stan Hagen Theatre at North Island College. And finally today I attended the Comox Valley Homeless Coalition meeting, and they are well on their way to processing their 5-year plan, and it is wonderful to watch practitioners in the field that are taking this on and so dedicated. And that's my report. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor Mark Grant.
Thank you. As a council representative, I had the pleasure of attending the Halloween event, which was great and well attended very enthusiastically. And also I had the pleasure of serving as a partner to the acting mayor at the Remembrance Day celebration a couple of days ago. And that would be me.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Kendra.
Well, I also attended the Regional District Board meeting. I fielded a couple of calls on the new sewer pump station number 2, as I'm sure the rest of you have. So as you would well imagine, nobody wants it in their neighborhood, so we're back to that. I also had a tour of the new curling rink. They've opened it up. There will be a grand opening on November 14th, but we came in on time, under budget. Looks really good. The ice is apparently really good, and the curlers are quite thrilled with all the updates. So it looks like a new place, so it's great.
Wonderful. All right.
Nothing much for me. I was out of town for a while on business, but I did take the opportunity to go to the mall and check out the Halloween festivities that the BIA was part of, and good work to them for engaging all the young kids and bringing families up downtown. That's about it.
Okay, thank you. And as for me, I have attended the strategic planning session of the Filberg, which took place over 2 days. So it was about 6 hours of meetings while they were determining their goals for the next 5 years. But I think they had some good discussions, and they have started their membership drive, which began November 1st and is going to run till the end of January. And their hope is that if you have been a member, that you will renew your membership. And if you haven't been a member, that you will join. It will still remain at $25. It will still give you entrance to the Filberg Festival, although they're always looking for ways of maybe changing that, but for now that will remain. And they will continue to join until the end of April online, but they're really trying to do a membership push between now and the end of January. So if you're looking for good Christmas gifts for people, that might be something to consider. On behalf of the mayor, I attended the telethon and got to work at the telephone table for an hour, and that was fun, and to see some of the entertainment. And I understand they raised over $92,000, so once again a really successful event. And then I went along to the Florence Filberg Center, where Councillor Mark Grant and I enjoyed the Veterans Concert that was sponsored by the Evergreen Seniors. So it was a long but enthusiastic kind of group that was there. So it was well done. And I did attend the Halloween celebrations in the mall, and was impressed once again with the efforts that people put into their costuming. So, and that's my report. So, now we'll go on to media questions. None? None? Public questions? None? So, we will look for a motion to adjourn. Carried.